அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனே தமிழனே உன் சீரிழமை திறந்திருந்து செயல்படுந்து வாழ்வதுமே வாழ்வதுமே வாழ்வதுமே.
சத்யோரகம் சத்யபரம் ஸ்ரீசத்யம் சத்யஸ்ய யோனிநிஹிதம் ச சத்யே சத்யஸ்ய சத்யம் ஸ்ருதசத்யநேத்ரம் சத்யாத்மகம் த்வாம் சரணம் பிரபன்னாः. वाणी गुणानुकथने श्रवणो कथायां हस्तौ च कर्मसु मनस्तव पादयोर्नः कृत्यां शिरस्तव निवास जगत्प्रणामे सृष्टिस्ततां दर्शनेस्तु भवत्तनूनाम्. नमो भगवते तस्मै कृष्णायाद्भुतकर्मणे रूपनामविभेदेन जगत्क्रीडति यो यतः. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Thank you, and please be seated. Think like a wise man, but communicate in the language of the people, said the great William Butler Yeats. We have amongst ourselves one such wise person, Mr. Gopalan Raman sir, Assistant Vice President, Human Resources, Applied Data Finance. Gopalan Raman sir brings over 18 years of relevant hands-on experience in human resources and operations at the Indian startups, from talent acquisition to team development. Sir has spent a decade at Global Analytics India, now part of the Gain Credit, eventually overseeing the company's HR activities and executing innovative recruitment strategies to scale the workforce from 10 to 300 members. Gopalan Raman sir has a deep understanding of technology, analytics, and operations, especially in the finite tech domain, and holds an MSc in the mathematics from the University of Hyderabad and an MA in mathematics from Temple University. We are also honored to have Mr. Vijayan sir. Sir is the heading the call center operations of Global Analytics India. Mr. Vijayan sir is the first person to introduce computer to the police department. Spearheaded the activities of Skillstar in the training around 2,500 students in around of Vellore, Thiruvannamalai, Ranipet and Tirupattur districts, therefore provided opportunity for over 1,750 students. With us on this special day, Mr. Vijayan sir was also the PA for our Central Minister. We are delighted to have you with us, sir. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way and shows the way. Our Honorable Head, Department of Data Science, Dr. A. Vijayalakshmi ma'am, is such leader. I now request Dr. A. Vijayalakshmi ma'am to present Mr. Gopalan Raman sir with a memento and Mr. Vijayan sir with a shot. Thank you, ma'am. I'm honored and privileged to call Mr. Gopalan Raman sir to take over the session forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Not yet. Good morning. Yeah, so I'm closely connected with for the last 20 years in global analytics and now in applied data finance. Both are the companies largely using analytics, now what they call it as data science. And if you wait for some more time, they'll start calling it .ai. So the industry is evolving, but I had the great opportunity to work closely with these companies from early stages. So I was able to really look at how the market has evolved and also what kind of skill sets are needed from the campuses across. So I could just talk about a little bit of that. So the brief, go back to the brief introduction about ADF. ADF is a US-based applied data finance. That's the name of the company. And it is called financial services. We largely are focused in financial services, but all our business is done only in the US. And all our technology, data science, and operations all operate from India. So we have an office, our headquarters is in Chennai, but like a lot of companies since COVID, nobody is coming to office, all work from home. So that is the game now. So we have about some 300 plus people. So we have about 50 plus on the data science team. Then we have data warehousing, data engineering on that side, and then we have product engineering, which is largely in Python and Java development. Then we have a 24/7 operations, tech support. Then we have non-support, non-technical support, and of course, finance, HR, all type of functions. So we're kind of like an Accenture on a smaller scale. We have all those functions represented. So this is our primary role is to provide consumer lending in the US. So this is our business. So what we do is for providing loans to the customers in the US, we collect their data. There's a lot of data analytics work that happens, and then the entire cycle of the loan processing happens through ours, end-to-end, completely technology-wise, no human intervention. Okay, so this is so we are kind of 10-year-old applied data finance, and prior to that I was with another startup which was again another 14 plus, so large 20 years large experience on that. So when we move to the next, obviously you know all this, but I will repeat it. It's a studies to extract insights using statistics, programming, and now machine learning. The fun part is, I was part of it when it was statistics. Then I was also part of it when it was focused on programming. Now I'm part of it when it is related to the machine learning. So how the industry has evolved is something good to know, so that you will have an idea as to what type of skill sets will be needed when you want to get into this field. Obviously you are, because you are in that program. So machine learning, obviously we are using a lot of that in our own entities. Primarily when we build core models, what we used to do in a conventional way using statistics. So when we started an entity, I can start our own company growth, because that parallels how the industry evolved. So when we were using statistics, you are all in third year. Have you all done any courses in statistics? Have you done any courses in statistics? I can answer, yeah, let's keep it little. Any response on that?
You had statistics as a subject.
You did.
Alike.
That's what I want. What all you covered? High level, I'm not asking. That's it only. But I wouldn't know much. What are things you covered? So what we did, for example, in ours, our purpose was this company business is a lot like Amazon or a Flipkart, directly interacting with the customers. So we have a portal where customers come in. So when it comes to collecting data, there's absolutely no problem. Tons of data available, right? So the initial stages, we were using a lot of statistics, which was primarily what kind of business problem are we trying to solve. This is one thing you all have to be very clear, especially if you are in the job market or you're going to be. I'm sure you all will be writing your CVs, my writers. One thing you all have to be very clear about is what business problem are you trying to solve. I must have interviewed around 5,000 of candidates so many years. When I ask, because anytime you have a fresher, when we have fresher interviews, they will have an aptitude test, there will be some kind of an assessment, then they come for interviews. The first question they ask is, because you don't have work experience, so what is it that we will cover? If you don't have work experience, what are the areas we can cover? Yeah. What's your favorite subject? Which one you did well? Getting into statistics. Standard probability, throw 5 coins and what's the probability of getting 3 hits, whatever, all those kind of questions. That is probability setup. Then you have realistically projects. People do projects. When I ask questions about what project have you done? Sir, I've done project in machine learning. That's not an answer. Machine learning is an ocean. You can't say I did a project in machine learning. Or they'll say I did a project in logistics. That's not it. You have to know what is this project about from a business perspective. You would say, sir, I was looking at, just did the analysis of sales of Tata Motors, for example. I wanted to analyze the sales of that Tata Motors during COVID period. What is the comparison between during COVID period and post-COVID period? What's the height? What's the COVID spirit also? During the COVID unfortunate time we were all going through, tons and tons of data were generated. So people are tracking it from wave 1, wave 2, how things were spreading. There are a lot of those kind of data you can analyze. So you will create a project, if it's a group project or individual project, the first thing to focus is what the project is about. It can never be logistics, it can never be machine learning. It's about what the business, what is it you're trying to do. To solve that business problem, you are using techniques. It could be logistics, it could be linear, or we are using machine learning. All those comes as how. The how question with all that. First, what you did. So that I will show you a sample CV, how that looks. You should always have that as mindset. Trying to understand what business problem you are trying to solve. Even if there are projects, somebody has already done it, you are repeating it, let's say. It's still good way of validating. There are experiments getting validated. That in itself is a worthy reason for doing the project. So you should always focus because this is how the business works. I mean, machine learning, we are doing it because we wanted to do it. It makes sense to our business. Not every company may be doing machine learning, or they may be using machine learning in a very narrow sense of the word. For example, if you do a machine learning course in college, all kind of theories will come. They will ask for my business, for this problem, what kind of ML techniques will you use? So you have to think from a business perspective as to how to implement all that. So, for example, here, when we did initially using, our objective was to consumer lending. So the objective is we are lending to customers. The objective is when we get that repayment. So is the loan going to be good, right? So are you going to give loan to the customers or not? So what type of regression techniques will you use for this? This being the business problem. Whether loans are going to be defaulted or not. If somebody is applying for a loan, for example, go through a check. At the end of it, you have to make a decision based on some strategies. So what type of techniques will you use? What type? I'm even giving you a hint it's going to be regression, for example. What regression will you use? It has to be yes or no. The binary, so it should be one. Logistics, right? Have you done that? Like linear is something it can project next year based on the past. Logistic is based on the answer is going to be yes or no. So those kind of questions. So based on that, we make those kind of decisions. Okay. So there are a lot of that, and we had huge amounts of data, so we needed to clean the data first. Data won't be coming in the way you want it. So I'll go through that in the subsequent slides. So when I look at various job profiles, you will know what type of work that gets done in the entire data science assembly line. Okay? So machine learning of late, we have started using it, obviously, it enables, now you know all about these examples, right? So I don't have to explain much of it, you may know this more than I do. Okay, move to the next. So I would look at type of profiles, if you look at it, data scientists, data analysts, ML engineers, and BA analysts. There's a lot of confusion about some of these terminologies. Many of these designations may overlap. And whenever you apply for a job, you have to really understand what the role is, clearly. It's always good to even have an idea what is the size of a team, data science team. Sometimes if the data science team is very small, they will end up doing all of it by fewer people. Whereas if it's a bigger enough team, then different people will do different things. Then it becomes a pipeline. Okay? We will go through that one by one. Are you all familiar with these words?
Yes, sir.
Obviously. Okay. This would be a typical a cycle, for example. So the business understanding, that's what I was telling you. Whether you are doing the project, whatever you are doing, ideally the business understanding, the business should be the top. Okay? Then comes the what type of data available. So you may want to solve how best to get the, improve the sales. But if you don't have enough sales data, what's the point, right? So there was a famous saying before, data is the new oil. If you have a data, that means you are rich. There are a lot of things you could do. So the first thing is the business understanding of it. And the second thing would be what type of data which is available to support that function. So when we get projects, we usually spend a lot of time on first and second process because it is extremely important to have the business understanding properly understood. I mean, you have to have a clear focus on what you are trying to solve here. It cannot be very vague, generic, it has to be pointed as to what exactly are you looking to solve. Because only accordingly you will get your bunch of data here. And the data itself may not come in the right format because usually what happens to the data? Some data entry person somewhere would have entered the data in some format. They may have even made mistakes. There will be a lot of fields, data will be errors. So we spend a lot of time on first cleaning the data. Okay? Cleaning the data means if date of birth must have 2 digits for date, 2 digits for month, 4 digits for years. If you have 5 digits or something else, or if it is month is showing us 13, these are all errors. They're typing it. So it takes a lot of time to really go through. Nowadays, there's a lot of scripts people use to clean up that. So data cleaning becomes an extremely important process to us. And you have to really make that a format in a form which can be used for doing data analysis and modeling. So for you to do the model, which is the next step, you need to make sure that data is in the proper format. You can do analysis. Prior to that, make sure data is all cleaned up. And there are some cases you may have a missing variable. Have you done any projects, mini projects where you had some data which was missing? What would you do with that? Any suggestion? What do you think? I mean, think about it. Right? You don't have, for example, hundreds of things there, for example, and what exactly would be a way you could, how do you, let's say we are collecting some data and we have year-wise we are collecting some data. We have the data for 2019. We have it for 2021. How do you fill the missing 2020? Yeah, how do you assume? Correct. What?
Analyzing the previous other data. Analyzing past and
both the data and
like sorting
substitute the
and
values
searching.
for the year.
Yeah, you don't have to go that far. All there's a bunch of missing variables, right?
Sorting and
Huh?
sorting and searching.
one thing what we did was to, I find the average between 2019 and 2021. Make 2021. That's that average. That's one way to do that. It worked well, maybe some, but because you are still in the preliminary stage, missing variables, you cannot go back to that client and say, hey, this is missing. You don't want to search all that. You have to go. There's a lot more variables. There is a process, it's called imputing. That is the missing variables. How do you fill it? It requires that. Why do you use mean instead of median? Do you know the difference between mean and median? Not the definition, which actually you all know. When will you use mean, when do you use median?
Median to find middlemost one.
Sorry?
Median to find middlemost one.
Those are definitions. That's true. Median is what? Middlemost by doing what? You can't just take the middle of the set of various numbers are there. For you to get the median, it's not simply the middle.
Number of data development. Because arranging them.
You have to first sort out the data. You have to sort out the data and then take the middle and then look for the left side how many, right side how many. Why you go for a median instead of just the mean? What's the difference between a mean and a median? Sorry? See, these are all the, when you say assumptions, these are some of the things we also make assumptions about. Mean and median. So for example, if your data set is somewhat normalized, very close to each other, then average makes sense. But if there are a couple of data which is outliers, when I say outliers, you have like 20, 30, 28, 24, suddenly one is 75, one is 15. Numbers are outliers. Suddenly your mean is going to look very different. That's not accurate. So in that case, you may want to look at a median as opposed to mean. So these are some of the kind of, what I'm saying is these kind of decisions we make. What I'm saying is a very preliminary examples, but not more of this. Okay? That's important. And so this is how the data understanding comes. Then comes the data preparation. You have to make it ready to do models. So that's where, these two roles, data understanding and data preparation, is done by data analyst. It was the designation. If you look, going to apply for, when the companies ask for data analyst, those two were the ones you'll be doing most. Leading and making the preparation. Then you hand over to the modeling team. They will be the data scientists. So they are the ones who need to come up with whether it's going to be logistic, whether it's going to be linear regression, random forest, all decision trees, all those strategies, how to go about it. That is done by the modeling side of it. Okay? I interviewed, I think a month ago, a Paytm, guy who was working in Paytm, he was applying for a job, a data scientist. Paytm, you all know. So I asked him how big is your data science team. There are two people, the entire company, two people are running the data science. So then I asked him, who do you manage? It's a B2C, business to customers and consumers. You're going to have tons and tons of data. How come the two of you manage and who come up with these strategies? What to do, how to do? That obviously go through a cycle of decisioning. But the reality is, lots of this data cleaning, data preparations, they come under a software that are run by Infosys, HCL, TCS kind of third-party entities. They are deployed and they are doing it. So the working models are going to be very different for different companies. Bigger companies usually have a fewer data science team. For example, in our company, 300 plus size, having a data science team of 50 is pretty good, pretty luxurious. The reason we have that many, because we continue to make changes in real time in the modeling. So we need a lot more data science for that. But otherwise, it's not that. You always find data science team to be much smaller, whereas those which case, data understanding preparation, those teams are all clearly demarcated. They will have nothing much to do with it. So one other advice I would give, if you are when you are approaching for a job, looking for companies which are very small. First of all, they have to have data. Without data, you have nothing to do with it. Have smaller companies so that you get to see all of it. You get to do all of the cycles. Okay. moment you get into data analyst, that is a big field. You learn all of it, but you never get to the modeling. Then it becomes like a big bar to jump. Okay? So it's very important for you to be part of a smaller company, understand what is happening. Yeah. Just make sure that you are in touch with all the functions. So don't say this is not my job. This is all I have to do. You should never get into that mode, the early side of your career. Very important. Okay? And then, okay, you build a model. That needs to be evaluated. How do you know the model you built is correct or it's even accurate? Say evaluation is more about how well you can, it's predicting accurate. Okay. And there is also an accuracy metrics people use. Have you done the statistics, confidence intervals, H1, H2, H0, H1, testing hypothesis?
I could theoretical.
I talk about theoretical. Testing hypothesis. So, testing hypothesis H0, H1, obviously, you know, type 1 error, type 2 errors come across. Right? The bottom line there is, anyway, you're going to have errors. It's what is it that you can tolerate? Right? So, for example, if you're talking about sales data, the objective of the problem, the business problem, is to how to increase the sales. Or the business problem is how to increase the conversion. You send a bunch of mailers, marketing flyers to hundreds of thousands of people, but you get only 10 people to respond. How do you increase that from 10 to 20 or 100? How do you increase it? That is called increasing the conversions. Okay? So how do you go about it? So you'll come up with some strategies, you'll build model, and when you're validating it, your initial model might give you somewhere around 75%, 80%. You may still be okay with it. You may still be okay with it because you can still continue to fine-tune the models as you iterate. But if you are introducing a new drug in the market, and you go through this exercise and get to the model, and you're getting into the evaluation, it's kind of okay for 80%. Will you be okay with that risk? Yeah, for a medicine, for a drug, for example. When it comes to drug, you're talking about human life. You cannot afford to have to be 80%. It has to be 99, 95, 98. Whereas if it's sales, you can afford to start off with 80%. Next iteration, 80 can become 85, 90 over time. So, what percentage of risk you are willing to take, they all will be part of the evaluation part. And then you set a new setup, so that becomes your benchmark. Then get new sets of data, go through the entire exercise, and see how the prediction comes. So this is how you iterate. Now, using a lot of ML techniques, ChatGPT, for example, you are using. How many of you are using ChatGPT? Everyone. So, when you ask certain questions to ChatGPT, it all the response you get is strictly a function of the questions you ask. If you fine-tune it in a way, you get the appropriate answer. But if you maintain this, ask the same question, let's say 1 month later, you might get a better response. What happened? Because these iterations happen in between. So every time models get repeated, you're supposed to include the. So that's the objective here. And then evaluation is done. Deployment is something that doesn't happen in every company. Okay? Deployment doesn't happen in every company. It happens in ours. When you say deployment, that means you have software team also. So, in software companies, for example, you must be aware of the product companies and service companies. Can anyone tell me software? Sorry? Can you give an example of a product company, product software company? Logo, okay. Yeah. Amazon, what product? Amazon, what product? Yeah, right. Because they are also B2C. That's more of a service. AWS is a product, yes. Okay. Anybody else? So there is a difference between service-based and product field, right? Same thing happens in analytics field, data science also. You have a service and a product. So any service-based company, the evaluation part, that's it. Then they will give the models to the client. Then it's up to the client what to do with it. They want to run it, they will have their own software key to run it, or they just want to see the results and tweak the strategies. Whereas what we do is, because we are a B2C, this is like Google Analytics, all these functions, they always have a deployment. Deployment means software engineering. So what we do is the models code we write, so they will come up with the strategy. They will say something like, we will have a cutoff score, for example. Based on the applications, they fill out the fields, and each field will be scored. I mean, we will give them some weightage, name, and their job, salary, monthly salary, whatever the reason they are paying for loan. Similarly, the HR team, the business, they may be looking, the HR company might want to know how to reduce the people leaving, attrition, who are likely to stay in the company long period, so that they can invest on those employees. So what kind of variables do we look at? What kind of, so when you build a model, all you are doing is you are generating predictive variables. That's what it is. So generating variables, any functions are going to have variables. For example, if it's HR analytics, if you do HR analytics is one, it's a very common, just like loan analytics. What are all the feeds you will collect in HR? Can you guess? These are all guessing. What all things you can collect? After they come on board. So let's say I'm coming to a company. The company has a HR team. And the HR team comes to us and say we have to improve the attrition rate. That is, we want to retain more people in the company. That is the business of it. So I'm going to ask for data. So what kind of data will I be asking? Or what kind of data will you get? You have to define it a little bit more. First of all, they have to be part of the company. Number? Okay.
Experience what?
Okay.
Assets. Skill sets.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. See, when this stage comes, you have to be really open and tell all kind of, because they're going to drop a lot of it anyway. But unless it comes out, there's nothing right or wrong. You have to be, this is where one has to be really creative. Yeah? Attendance, okay? Sure. What else? One key thing you all missed so far, I haven't heard it.
The past history like
I'm talking about HR data, right? What is number one? Whenever I ask, you got a job? Oh, really? Where? What's the first question you ask?
salary.
Yeah, of course. And sometimes people leave the company because they say, I'm getting somebody else is paying me more salary. So the salary will be a factor. So you have a lot of these variables. Okay. One is called tenure, that is like how many years you've been in the company. Skill set, what kind of projects, what salary, all those will be factors. But some of them even location. You are in South Chennai, the office is in North Chennai. That's a reason. So all this information will be there. Then they go through this data cleaning, data preparation, modeling, evaluation. At that time, we will come up with some variables. All these what you mentioned, they are all variables. Potential variables. Meaning they all can influence the result. But when you do the modeling, sometimes you come up with some variables which are more predictive in nature. That's why they call it predictive model. Okay? So the predictive nature of that, you look at it and then could be what you do with that. So you come up with, salary and distance are more predictive in nature. This is with respect to this particular company. So they will give that to the client. It's up to the client. Whether he wants to increase the salary or change the location or just close it. Yeah, provide cap, of course. Right. So all those are actionable items based on that. So deployment, what we do is, this is how this becomes a product for us. We are deployed, we deploy it. So, for example, when you go to Flipkart or Amazon, you purchase a product. Okay. Soon after, you will see similar products showing up on the side screen. What happened? Because in the back end, the analytics work, they looked at your preferences. Based on that, you are likely to purchase these products as well. So similarly, all these customer-facing products nowadays are coming up with more and more back-end analytics work, which is what we have been doing for the last 20 plus years now. So when the customer comes to apply for a loan, they fill out the application form, they click submit. As soon as they submit, within seconds, the entire field is captured, scored, they go through the analysis, because already the strategy is already given by the data science team. They will say, anybody over a score of 700 approved, loan approved automatically. Anybody less than 600 auto reject. Between 600 and 700, we can look at it on a strategy basis. So we kind of do these things, and this is where the deployment happens. So the analytics will always come up with a strategy or rules. The product engineering uses it. So then the product offerings are more accurate, more specific. Any questions on this? So this is what I'm explaining to you are not technical. I'm not talking about Python, I'm not talking about SQL, I'm not talking about anything. But this is also equally important. Those things are usually covered in the classes. That's okay. But on a broader perspective, these are all extremely important. So when you go for interviews, sometimes people give case studies. Okay? They give case studies. Case studies will be like this. They will give a company is looking to Saravana stores, for example. They want to increase. I don't think Saravana store is asking for increasing sales. They're always crowded anyway. But the bottom line is they might look at it and say, is it feasible for us to open a new center, new branch? And how do you maintain the inventory, for example? If you look at a lot of those sales data and what are the strategies which helps customers coming to a particular branch, you could look, that's what the first discussions will have. Mostly we can start with. And you don't need a very hi-fi spec for this. You can use Excel. How many of you know Excel well? MS Excel, advanced Excel, macros.
Well. Excel is not, he is not asking you Excel. Excel will.
So actually you can do lots of basic analysis, basic data analytics using Excel itself before you go to R or Python or whatever. There are a lot of things you can do with covariance, you can do a lot of those analysis very quickly, in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, based on the basic data, you can see the trends in Excel, and then you can get into the model. So get into those kind of, okay? So this is the typical data science project. Yeah, next. Data scientists, of course, they are the ones predicting the future based on the past. So they will have built the models. So these are the ones, the skill sets needed are programming skills, SQL and data science. You all know Python here?
Yes.
Any other programming?
Java.
Oh, Java, advanced Java, what is it? Yeah. Python to what extent? I mean, you do all this NumPy, Panda packages you use for analysis, or is it Python like Java you're using, learning Python, like Java, or like OOPS language? You use Python scripting,
Yes.
and packages are also important. You can do a lot of data analysis using Java. So these are all the skills. So for example, the data scientists, the interviews usually happens with this SQL. Have you all done any courses in SQL? You don't have SQL.
Structured query language. You heard?
See,
That is-
in the similar
Huh?
as they are in the first year, second year, mixed second year, third year, third year, we were second year,
Oh, no. This degree program makes sure before you get out, when I said before you graduate, you have skills in SQL. It's extremely important. It is SQL, usually pronounced as SQL. Anyway, structured query language, it's not SQL. Again, like Python, it's easy to start. Depth is so primarily nested queries, select statement, join statements, pulling data from multiple tables, and kind of questions they ask in the interviews are deliberately going to be complex queries. And the problem with the complex queries, you have to be able to write it efficiently. There are some codes for that. If you start writing it like if, then else kind of a thing, it usually will prompt the servers. So in the past, we had instances where somebody would be writing a very tough SQL code. Suddenly the system will hang. Somebody will do troubleshooting. I know this, 37, somebody is using the wrong code or whatever. So everything is wrong. So you really have to, first of all, know how to do this, and second, how to do it efficiently. Both are important. There are a lot of online resources. You don't need to. There are plenty of things you can learn. And these are all extremely important. SQL, and then programming skills, one of those. And I said data analysis, just understand, how. No, I don't. That's all. Those are all visualizations. Those come next. That's like Power BI or Tableau or all that. But when I say data analysis, you have to really like the data. You have to really spend time on it. What are the missing variables? How to do that? Those are all nitty-gritty details. Sometimes it makes a huge difference how you look at it. For example, this was a problem in the office we were discussing this last week. We had 10 people last year who had left for higher studies. 10 people we are backfilling. When I say backfilling, we are replacing a few people. The manager said for one person is so senior, I'm going to replace it with 3 people. So it's not 10 people, for the 10 people, 15. So what would be the salary of the people left? And what would be the salary of the people we are going to hire? Yeah, let's say if you are very strict about the budget, it should be. So one of our team members came up with the guy with the higher salary. He put that in 3 rows because he's being replaced by 3 people. So suddenly, when it looks to on the left hand side, the data looks very high. On the right hand side, the data looks very small. You thought you saved, but the reality is there was an error. Can you understand what the error is based on what I just said? There are 10 people, there's 10 data, and we are replacing it with 10 more people on the right side. One person is so senior, in place of him, we are hiring 3 more people. So, data 10 on the left, 13 on the right. 13, 1 3. One person equals to 3 people. Because he's so senior, we are hiring 3 people in his place. So, we are trying to compare the salaries. So, all the people who left, the salaries are all noted down. The people who are on the right hand side, salaries are also noted down. And he came back and said, we are going to save a lot of money. Somebody is smart, immediately pointed out there was a mistake there.
Experience.
No. We are talking about numbers and numbers. So, if you're the experienced person, you are counting it 3 times. It should be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Right? For one person, you are replacing it with 3 people. That means for one person, the salary should be 1/3. 1/3. That's all. So this is a very subtle thing. When I say data analysis, that's what I mean, not visual tools that comes. So the subtle things you have to, when you look at a set of data, you must be able to tell there's something wrong with this. I mean, you do all the analysis, you come back. There are people in the company, they will do the presentation. There are people who are the company. We will spend whole 1 week doing all kind of analysis. He will look at it in 5 minutes and he'll find 4 mistakes. Go through it. It's good in data. So get into that. Yeah, thanks. So YAML, obviously, this is something we have started doing it. So it's an ocean. YAML engineers usually come from engineering background. They also come from data science background. Okay. So this is again optimizing solution, starts with data cleaning. Nowadays, what's happening is we do a lot more with smaller teams because machine learning takes care of that. So, for example, if you build a model, the next set of data comes, next year data comes, you don't run it again. Give it to ML tool. It will update with newer set of data, it will run the model. A lot of ML techniques. But it comes from software engineers also coming to ML, data science also. Okay. Yes. Data analysis is what I'm saying, structured data, using it, use the tools, Python, SQL, or those kind of things are very important. Okay. BI, more like a data analyst and BI, not a whole lot of difference, except for the word business. The people have to have a business context. That is where Tableau or show up. Yeah, not only visualization is important, then you have to write a story around it. Last year, this year, number is less, why, those kind of description. These are all good roles for you to apply. I'm just giving you guidelines. These are all the roles you can based on what skills you have. Okay. Big data. I mean, anyway, with the Facebook and Google, those kind of big companies, their data are always big. So, what's the difference between a data engineer and a big data engineer? Big. That's it. How do you define big? It varies. Huge. So, there are certain tools like Spark, Hadoop. Those tools take care of handling those. But when you have no data, you have suddenly more data. Suddenly, the more data looks big. But everything is big, then you look for mega big. But big data is only in big companies. They use a lot of that. So it's not very. Opportunities are fewer. Good, but few. So generally, I look at skill set. These are the ones I would put it for this. Yeah, on the data visualization, I miss the Power BI. And understanding algorithms, all those things are important. So then soft skills. Okay. Communication is important. I mean, I know for every job they say communication is important. When I say communication here, it's not English communication, it's your thought process. Your communication has to be clear, logically clear. You can we interviewed some people in local language when we started. They're so good, logically. We just wanted to understand the thinking process. That is more important in the soft skill that kind of connects with critical thinking also. Okay? And I said, like, how do you define the business problem? What you're planning to do. Okay. General skills, besides the courses you do, look for these kind of courses in online, sometimes course around Udemy courses too. There are courses come with 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. They kind of courses like this. Play around with data, explore software tools. You really have to get used to. I want to understand what prompted you to join this course. Data science. Yeah. When you signed up for this, when you joined this, what was the trigger? Is it because somebody in the family said, best friend said, yeah.
Because after this corona period, everything is online. Everyone has like work from home or engineering sort of thing. So data science was a new subject.
I don't blame you for it, but you really need to have passion. It's important because any given day I get 300, 400 CVs in my inbox every day. 95% of it I'm not even looking at. Why? It's not just because the reality is there are a lot of, you have to do these things, make full effort. College is doing a very good job in terms of its degree program, Madras University, curriculum, all good. Over and above, you should be doing a lot of this. Get into the habit. Over time. Yeah, you have to. And this is an area we have to continuously study. There is no switch off period, because this is like machine learning, all these things are just developing. You have to do a lot of this. Okay. This is on browsing online, I looked at this one of the best series. Anytime, if you have a mostly fracture, for example, I don't want to see a CV more than one page. I don't want to see more than one page. And I also don't want to see languages, those kind of things are not needed. So primarily what is needed, either have your contact details on the left side or on the right side. Working projects, like what you did. And the project should be, it's deployed, implemented, designed. It has to be a work, what it is you do, what it translated. No, that's what I said. That is the course you did, where you did well, could be one. And the projects, what you did. The project has to be really good. Okay, that's what I kept coming back to this. It's okay. It's a lot of that. One page is good enough. Even an experienced person has only one page. You don't need a lot more than that. Primarily look at, it should be improve, design, validate. These kind of verbs should be there. What you did. Because the project by itself, what did you do that? That's it. And if you did well, that can be highlighted as well. Just keep that in mind. Look at it from a potential employer's perspective. Okay. That's important. And yeah, so I look at the pages it goes. Doesn't mean anything a whole lot. I couldn't find a lot. I spent very little time in the evenings. I could take some more CVs as well. But the reality is that it's all just bullet point. Specific skill sets are here. It's very important. And that should match with some of the projects. Project always you do that. Even if your course does not require you to do projects, there are things like cables, sites, go and do some projects, a lot of data available, basic problem. Validate just to tell that you understood data analysis by having done some project. That makes a truth. Okay, yeah. Yeah. This is again I was telling about showcase the projects. So you spend some time on it. These are all important. And contribute to open source. You may be wondering how can I contribute? I don't even know what's happening. Just spend 1 week, just browse, just look at what's happening. Follow the discussion. You'll get an idea where you can get in. It's like looking at the traffic when you can merge into the traffic. Just wait for some time. Traffic, give some space. Okay. It's like that. Okay. GitHub profile again, everybody nowadays comes with a lot of that. Okay. Your best friends should be this. These 3 must be your best friends during your profile. LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed, you have to have a presence. You have to be following people. Okay? Yeah. These are some of the well-known companies. There's a lot more. There's a lot more there, obviously. Some of these companies are like banking companies. So a lot of them take people at various levels. Okay? I mean, this is a very small list. I'm sure there's a lot more. I can fill it up with few other things. I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, find it any useful.
First build most of the questions and queries will 𝒂𝒂 actually. And இன்னும் ஒரு விஷயம் சொல்லணும் அப்படின்னா வரக்கூடிய சர்வீஸ் பண்றதுக்கு பாருங்க அது they have something like that. And very happy that around 50-60 people, 60% crores of money you may have. One tsunami, one earthquake, clash. Whatever may be the biggest post you may have in Tamil, all of you know Tamil, you know, anybody don't know Tamil? Okay, that is the role of the designation. At any point of time, what will come with you is the knowledge. Open to the knowledge. அம்மா சொல்றாங்க வேலைக்கு கிராஜுவேஷனுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி கிளியரா படிச்சுட்டே போனீங்கன்னாக்க one fine morning you will get saturated, you will get bored in your life, you will become monotonous. இன்னைக்கு பாமாங்கிற ஃப்ரெண்டும் கூட வர மாட்டாங்க, யாரும் வர மாட்டாங்க. உங்களுடைய நாலேஜ் வரும். That's what he is about to say. Keep working, update your knowledge, update. இந்த வயசுல எல்லாம் இருக்கத்தான் செய்யும், அதெல்லாம் இல்லைன்னு சொல்லல. But beyond all that things, when some people like this are coming, you should be very attentive and to do that also. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Yeah, he said we hire mostly from IITs and NITs. That is kind of true, but that is not a whole picture. You go to a lot of colleges, we have skilled people come from these areas. And one other thing I will say is, whatever job you get from the placement, okay, falls into one of these, or here, let's say there was a person, there was a people who was working there. So by default, you have lots of data. So the real understanding should be what the business is, what is it that we can do better, do on your weekend, time off period, do some basic analysis. Upskill yourself while you are working there itself. So every company, every job, as long as it has enough number of data, you can generate your own profile as well. And over time, whatever you learn here will be applicable. So always look at it that way. I'm looking at data scientists only in Google. Otherwise, my life has no meaning. You can't talk like that. You really have to get into this, and you can always find ways to move around. And as long as there's a good demand for data science, data analysis, machine learning, but you have to go through that channel, process there. So it doesn't matter. All type of function. We have IT support. The person who calling him, my system is not working, I'm not able to, I cannot connect to the net. If he, every week, the number of calls that comes to him, whether it comes in the morning, or in the evening, or in the weekends, when the volume, you can track the data, create a dashboard around it. And if you can scale up, tomorrow if you have how many people are needed to answer this question, and he will have a statistical analysis. So if you think along those lines, you can create your own. So that is how the mindset should be.
And also, good, one more thing I would like to say that, especially when there was a job mela, one very job mela was going on, we all were there actually, and Global Analytics seems to be the first counter, and they have offered around 18 lakhs per annum free guy actually, IIM. And the second is Wipro, Infosys, TCS, CTS, Varasya Poiranga. Everywhere they are getting an offer 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs, and they end up with around 37 lakhs they got up and end up with. But again that IITL came and joined with us for 17 lakhs. Then we asked why. He told that if I am in Wipro, I will be one among 10 lakhs. If I am in TCS, I will be one among 40 lakhs. If I am in Wipro, I will be one among 1 crore. If I am with you, I will be one among 500, I can learn a lot. And this is the age for me to learn, not yearn. I will be learning today, and today you have to think for the next 5 years. After 5 years, what do you want to be? For that, are you being a base now or not? Think of that. Okay? All the best. I will time is more.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your valuable time with us on this beautiful morning, sir. I would like to conclude this session by doing a national anthem.